the Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. As a field application scientist who works with magnetic levitation, Danielle Twum, my guest today, combines her training as a cancer immunologist with the new skills she's learned working for a biotech startup. She acts as a liaison between the company and the customer. Her job entails her to explain how the company's technology works to potential clients who do not have the same scientific background or vocabulary. She knows how to make her physics-heavy job sound very accessible to others. In this episode, we chat about her journey into the science. We discuss the importance of having transferable skills, moving from academia into industry. She also talks about her ambassadorship as a AAAS IF then STEM ambassador, and so much more. Do stay tuned. Hi, Danielle. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Anne. Thank you for having me.
And thank you. Yes. Just so that nobody doesn't get it wrong. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I'm so excited.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is exciting. I'm happy I had something to look forward to, especially with what's going on.
I'm glad that this could be one of your little silver linings during this time. So again, Thank you. So we're just going to get straight into it. Can you just
Let's do it.
Tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, and your age, and also just away from the science stuff, what is the one app on your phone that you cannot... Okay, let's say I'm going to give you three. Name three apps on your phone that you cannot live without while you're telling us about yourself.
Okay, I'm gonna go from the back and say the three apps I can currently not live without is the Amazon Kindle app, the Apple Watch Activity app, and what is my last one? My Slack app. Because that is how I'm staying in touch with everything that's happening. So about me, as you said, my name is Danielle Twum. I am originally from Ghana, West Africa. I moved to the U.S. when I was about 18 years old, and I'm currently going to be 31 this year. So that means it's been almost 13 years, I think, since I moved to the U.S. I currently am a field application scientist for a company called Levitation Bio, and we use magnetic levitation to sort cells based on density.
Wow!
So that's the quick reference card for me right now.
That's awesome. Okay, so you said that you came here you came to the US 13 years ago. Yeah. So can you just rewind a little bit for us and just explain how you got into the science all the way back home in Ghana, so that we can just get the essence of, the roots of your science.
So I've always been interested in science. I don't know when or where it started. I think I have a very vague memory of my mom buying me a book about the different body organs, and it was like a flip book kind of thing. So you could flip it and it would show you the lymphatic system. It would show you the cardiovascular system. And I remember being very intrigued by it, but I was really young. I was probably 7. I said, oh, that's cool. Everybody wants to be a doctor. You know how in African countries, you're either a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, I'm going to be a doctor. And I was always interested in science. And when I went to senior high school in Ghana, we have tracks that you're put into when you go to senior high school. And I chose the science track because at that point I wanted to become a medical doctor. So of course, right? So I chose that particular track and, stuck with it: physics, biology, chemistry, advanced math, and then the core courses of social studies and, English and, just basic stuff. And so when I finished high school, the deal I had made with my parents was that I would go to college in the United States because my father had gone to college in the United States. And so
Oh,
I knew that I would emigrate when I was 18. I just wasn't sure how. I didn't know what my life was going to pan out. I didn't know anything. So when I turned 18 in Ghana, when you're done with senior high school, you're encouraged to take a year off. And
mm,
it's a way for the universities to declog like a whole
mhm,
year of students. And so during that year off, I did some teaching gigs in Ghana. I then emigrated to the US during that year. I worked in retail for a little bit so I could just have some money for, spending.
mm,
And then I applied for college, and I wanted a small liberal arts school because I'd always, been put in a box with regards to what I was studying, because I was on
yeah.
the science track in high school, so then everything was science focused, and I was used to smaller schools, smaller class sizes. So I wanted a liberal arts school that would allow me to be able to learn other things apart from science, because even then I recognized that a scientist is only as far as what she knows. You need to know more than that. Science is not
Mm,
just it's not just a cell and this
mm,
reaction. It's more holistic. So I wanted a liberal arts school. I wanted it to be small. I also wanted it to be prestigious enough so that when I was applying for things, I would not, nobody would overlook my application. And so
yeah.
I was admitted to Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York, which is a very small liberal arts school. They consider themselves pseudo Ivy League. I don't know about that, but the Vassar was fantastic. I think it was about 3,000 students in
Okay.
total,
That's small for
or
a university.
3,500, very small. And it was great. I was a biology major, but I was also a French minor, which
Oh,
allowed me to be able to use both the left and right side of my brain. I also, took classes in fashion, English, economics, anything that would allow me to bring a different perspective to my science. So it was so that's how then from Vassar, I went to graduate school. So yeah,
okay.
that's
Wow,
that's the
that's fantastic.
rewind.
Yeah, no, that's very interesting. And I just want to take it back also a little bit further, where you said that you came to America. So did you come by yourself, or were you moving like to with family or something, or you just came, or you just migrated you yourself and you came into like a whole new foreign, you know,
Oh
land?
no, I wish I was that brave. No, I have an older sister, and she
Oh,
had been
okay.
here. My dad was here, and I'm the
Okay.
youngest in my family. So when I was done with high school, my mother emigrated with me. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
very, 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 very lucky that I was able to emigrate and be with family, which is not was not the situation for a lot of my friends
Mm,
that I met in college who had emigrated on their own. Some of them was their first time leaving their home countries,
right,
and
right.
they are so brave, because I would definitely have floundered without my family. That's for sure.
No, it's family support
Yeah.
is very
Yeah,
crucial. So
absolutely.
after undergrad, you did bio and you did all of those other courses, which is very
Yeah,
interesting. I love
yeah.
how you said that you really wanted to just go a little bit to widen your net of knowledge,
Mhm.
which is also
Mhm. Mhm.
very crucial. I think most of us, well, including myself, let me speak for myself. I know that when I went and I did my sciences, that's all I focused on, you know.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
you realize that when you get into the real world, there's so much more
Yeah, they
going
they
on
want they
out
want
there.
more. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's that's useful. Okay, so you finished that, then what happened? How
Um,
did you went from biology to?
So when I was in at Vassar, I still had that pipe dream of becoming a medical doctor.
Oh, okay.
And, there was a new class in the bio department. It was called bioinformatics. I'm dating myself. But bioinformatics had just, started taking off. And I took this class because I said, oh, it looked really good on my med school application, that I'm trying to learn something apart from, bench work.
Mm,
And the professor I who led the class was Professor Jody Schwartz, phenomenal scientist. And she was so cool. I said, you know what? It would be fun to work with her for the summer because, summer research opportunities look really good on med
Good
school
on your CV.
applications.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I applied to work with her for that summer. And Jody, she studies sea anemones, which is where Nemo, you see Finding Nemo.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Nemo lived in an anemone, right? So
Oh,
she
okay.
studied anemones and she studied the effect of climate change
Yeah.
and, changing sea temperatures on anemones and coral bleaching. She was studying corals and using sea anemones as the model organism,
Okay.
specifically Aptasia pallida. So I worked with her for the summer, and that summer changed my life. After that summer, I said, I don't want to become a medical doctor. This is way cooler. And I said, I'm totally going to be gonna get a PhD or a master's. I wasn't sure. So Jody and I sat down, had a conversation, and she said, I'm glad you want to do research. That's great. But the research at Vassar is just one iteration of what research actually looks like. So for the next summer, so I worked with her the summer of my sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, for your junior year summer, I want you to apply to a program outside Vassar and outside of marine biology. Choose something that you're interested in, go do that program and come back and tell me if you still want to do it. Then I'm going to push you to get a PhD, which I thought was really, very prudent to do.
Mm.
And so I decided to apply to a program in cancer research. And it was very personal decision because when I was I think I was 7, I was really young. My
Mm.
uncle died from a brain tumor.
Oh no, I'm
And
sorry
he
about
was,
that.
oh, thank you. He was really young. I think he had just gotten engaged. He hadn't even had kids yet or anything
Oh,
like that. And we shared a birthday. So
um,
I've always wanted to understand cancer. It was in the back of my head, but
yeah.
never, I never had the chance because they don't really teach cancer and its ins and outs in a lot of science classes.
Mm.
It's such a specialized subject. So I applied to the Roswell Park Cancer Institute summer program. It's in Buffalo, New York, and Roswell
Mm.
Park is a hospital. It's a designated national cancer center in the
Okay.
United States. And so I said, "Oh, this is cool." Plus, the stipend was amazing. I was like, "Oh yeah," and I get to see Buffalo in the summer. I've heard of Niagara Falls,
Okay.
and they have all these social programs in addition to you doing the science. So I was like,
Mm.
this is the program I want. So I go to Roswell and I work with a bunch of urologists instead of, people who study the brain. And I was like, oh man, cancer is so cool. I have more questions than answers. So I'm going to apply to grad school and I'm going to shortlist them as one of my choices.
Yeah.
And so that is how I ended up going back to Roswell as a PhD candidate that next year. So
Wow.
that is, yeah. And I was in the Department of Cancer Immunology, and the rest, as they say, is
It's
history.
history. It's so fascinating that you met, like, going out of your little comfort zones, like,
Yeah,
allowed you to see so many things, like you
yeah,
said, from
yeah,
that summer with
yeah,
Professor Jody
yeah.
to learning about cancer,
Uh huh.
and that's very important. So you are a doctor. Just, by the way, let's just put this out
Yes,
there.
yes, I
Let's put some respect on your name. You are a doctor.
am.
You've got your PhD. So I'm also
I
talking to
do.
Dr. Danielle. Like, I should
Thank
change
you.
my intro. So yeah.
Oh no, you are absolutely. It's fine. It's absolutely
Yeah.
fine.
So
Yeah.
yeah, congratulations. So you
Thank you.
did
Thank you.
that
Thank you.
for your PhD. And then
Yeah.
currently, I know now,
Hmm.
um, like you mentioned that you're working at the startup as a field
Yes.
application scientist, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so for someone who doesn't know,
Mm.
including myself, can you explain to me what that job entails? And
Yeah.
also just elaborate on how you got that form of employment,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there's always that misconception that one might be overqualified for industry after a PhD. So was
Mm.
this the same in your case?
Mm, mm, mm. Interesting. That should come up. So, a field application scientist is a scientist that straddles the company and the customer. And
Okay.
what that means is that your company has a product,
Yeah.
and you as a field application scientist have to sometimes you have to market the product, but
Oh,
mostly you do experiments with the product at the client's base. So my company, I'm going to give an example. My company has a system. We have like an actual hardware that separates cells based on their density. So we have that system installed in different labs across the country.
okay.
So my job as a field application scientist is that I try to recruit people to do experiments on the system, because right now we're still in the development phase, so we need as much data as possible. I
Mm.
recruit people to test their cells in our system. I help them troubleshoot experimental design. I design experiments for them to test, and then I bring the data back to the company and use it to better our system. In addition, I'm involved in a lot of customer pitches. I put together a lot of slide decks to make our product more palatable for customer consumption. I also on my own test stuff in the lab. Like I'll
Mm.
have an idea and I'll just want to test it out in the systems we have in the lab on site, and use that to further help a customer make better decisions for their cells, or help our company tweak a little something in our system. So that's basically what a field application scientist does. You are a liaison between the customer and the company, and also within the company itself. You
Okay.
do work. Yeah. So, and with regards to how it's interesting, I don't think getting a PhD overqualifies you for industry, because in industry, they don't just want someone who can do bench work.
Yeah.
They want someone who can be customer facing and can actually talk the talk instead of just walk the walk. Most of us,
Okay.
when we do PhDs, we're very focused on bench work. But when you start looking for jobs, you have to be careful about how you talk. You have to be able to sell yourself in a
Mm.
different way. You have to have transferable skills. It's not enough to just know bench work. You
Yeah.
have to be able to make slide decks that are, very neat and very clean and not cluttered. You have to be able to manage projects, which you kind of learn when you're doing a project, whether it be a master's thesis or your PhD thesis, or the research with regards to that. There's so many transferable skills that come into play when you transition from grad school to industry, and I think that grad school should actually start cultivating that more in their students, so that when they're
Mm.
transitioning from grad school to the industry, they don't feel out of place, because it is
Yeah.
it's very fast paced. The startup world, the industry world is very fast paced. You're one day you're doing this, the next day you're doing that, and you have to be comfortable with just pivoting your mindset, your energy levels. You just have to be comfortable doing that. So
Mm.
yeah, yeah.
So, how did you even
Get this
get the
job.
job? Yeah, because when I think startups, like you said,
Yeah,
it's a very exciting world because a lot
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
especially because you're in California, right?
Yeah.
So it's very exciting. So how did you get this job? And the reason why I said that there is that misconception of
Uh huh.
being overqualified is
Yeah.
that I'm speaking in context because I've just finished my master's and I
Yeah.
know that whole talk of are you going to do your PhD or are you going to get a job? So, because usually they look for experience and
Yeah.
you've been doing research for like 5, 6, 7 years. So you haven't
Yeah.
got that practical experience. So then
Uh,
there's that talk that like, okay, you don't have that practical hands-on experience. Like you said,
mhm.
that in a work environment and an academic environment, it's two
Mhm.
totally different things, you know.
Yeah.
So um, coming from that academic environment, that's why I'm asking you, like, how? Because not a lot of people are as fortunate. I'm not sure, maybe it's different in America, but I
Mhm.
know here it's difficult to transition back into industry, especially if you've been in the academic field for a long time.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. So when I finished my graduate studies, I knew I wanted to do something that was not necessarily bench focused.
Okay.
And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I was tired at the end of my PhD.
I can imagine.
I was super burnt out,
Yeah.
and I needed something else to be excited about. But I knew that I couldn't do bench work for the foreseeable future, just pure bench work. It's why I didn't um, go into a postdoc.
Mm.
And so when I was thinking about how do I get a job that would allow me to sort of kind of do bench work, but not all the time, I think I Googled something, a very long sentence into Google about, are there any jobs?
Really?
I put something really long in Google, and I think there was there was a science article about alternative jobs for people with PhDs.
Okay, that's
And
interesting.
one of the options that came up was a field application scientist, which marries a bench work, bench work with customer facing roles, customer outreach, design, product design, that kind of thing. I said, oh, this sounds like doing an experiment, except it's different. It's a different iteration. So then I went into LinkedIn, good old LinkedIn, and typed field application scientist, put the location for California. I wanted to be in California because I was tired of the cold in Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
I needed to run away as far as I could away from the cold. But also California is very it's very motley in the different kinds of opportunities here.
Mhm.
And California also gives you from what I've heard, I have a lot of family here, and they have had very interesting career trajectories that they didn't see coming. So I was ready
Yeah.
to, take whatever would be new, and I'm still looking forward to what else could come, come
Mhm.
my way, because I don't know where I'm going to go from here, because there's just so many opportunities here. So
Oh,
I
that's
looked
exciting.
up field application scientist, and my current company came up, and I was like, magnetic levitation, that is some Black Panther stuff. Like, that's not real. But oh, how exciting. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
it. And it's a theme in my life. I get excited about something and I just do it. Don't I don't really. I'm just like, oh, this is cool. Let me try it. Why not?
Yeah.
It's my approach to a lot of things. It saved me. It's also opened my eyes to a lot of things. Because if I overthink something, I will most likely not do it. And I am very prone to overthinking. So if I have even a little spark of excitement, I'm just gonna go do it.
God.
So I applied, and the interesting thing was my first interview for this job was on the day. It was a phone interview, and I was actually flying back to Ghana after my thesis defense, and so I had to
Yeah.
find a quiet place in an airport. I didn't have access to any lounges or anything like that. So this is going to sound really bad. I
Yeah.
went to a hotel attached to the airport, and I somehow scammed the maitre d' to keep my luggage for me. And then I went upstairs to their conference room, and then I took out my laptop and I spread my papers all around me. And the housekeeper came in and she said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Do you want me to close the door?" And I was like, "Yes, please close the door. I'm on a call." And then she closed the door, and I had my first interview in a stolen conference room in an airport. Yes. So that is how I got my job.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, that is how. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, what an interesting story. But I love it. I mean, like if you hadn't, I mean, would you, like you said, it's part of your personality, and I think it can, you can even feel it by the way that you talk. So I'm so
Thank you.
I love it. Your personality is so infectious.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So now, just to bring it back a little bit.
Yeah.
So, I know that, the field of STEM, right,
Mm.
can be a little bit intimidating and
Yes.
difficult.
to digest by the general public, right? However, you, like, not only because of your infectious personality, you found a
It's
way to
okay.
bridge you found a way to bridge that gap and bring your
Yeah.
work to audience in such a accessible way, right?
Yeah.
And one way is you being an American, which is, it's called the AAAS, which is the American
Triple
Association.
AS. Yeah.
Oh, triple AS, okay,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is the American Association for the Advancement of Science.
Mm-hmm.
Um, an if then a STEM ambassador. So
Yes.
how do you do it? So I just want you to elaborate on that.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So the AAAS If Then Ambassadorship is this initiative by the Lyda Hill Philanthropies to increase visibility of women in STEM
Mm.
as role models for young children. Because a lot of kids, um, when you ask them to draw what a scientist looks like, they most often will draw a dude,
Yeah.
which is not a correct representation of what, of the people who actually do STEM careers. So this initiative is geared towards increasing the visibility of a lot of women scientists in so many different STEM roles. And one of the reasons why I'm so honored to be a part of this initiative is because I've met this lady who works at YouTube, and she writes the code at YouTube. I think she
What?
wrote the code for the subscribe button. There's a lady who designs stage sets, and she's designed
Yeah.
stage sets for like Taylor Swift and for like the
Oh,
Grammys
wow.
and stuff like that. There is like a bat conservationist. There is a girl who studies bats and viruses in bats, which has come in very handy, especially
Yeah, right
within
now.
this COVID. There is this girl who uses coding games to teach young kids about coding, and she actually just won this big award. It's just a very fantastic crew of women who do so many things with their STEM degrees, and I think it's a wonderful collection of what you can do with a STEM degree.
Mm,
And one of
definitely.
the things that we try to do is we try to show how we can talk about our work without having to use jargon or using all the terms that enshrine our little spot of science. And I think I really I love that. I'm very honored and very grateful that I got chosen to do this, because it's given me a platform unlike anything I've known, and it's also given me 124 instant friends. So
Wow, that's
it's been
fantastic.
really great. Yeah.
Is it a year fellowship or is it for life?
So so the ambassadorship is for, I think it's a year and a half, but it's
Okay.
the label is for life, and we do get some financial support with regards to our outreach
Oh, wow.
activities, which is really great, and we have access to a lot of networks that I did not have access to before this. So it's been a very career opening, but also very eye opening, because it's challenged me to be better at my scientific communication, but it's also giving me access to all these women and what they are doing with regards to
Mm.
scientific communication and being role models, especially for young girls in STEM. So, yeah.
Sure, that's so cool. So
Yeah.
speaking about being a great science communicator and
Ah,
communicating science in a way that, taking out all the jargon that people can actually understand it. One of
yeah.
your greatest achievements is that you were, so far, is that you were able to explain your thesis work. I'm assuming your PhD, right?
Yeah.
Your PhD thesis, so
Yeah.
like everybody just comprehend what I'm about to say. Your PhD thesis work clearly and concisely to lay audience in 3 minutes, and you won
Yeah.
first runner up. Can you just
Yeah.
take us back to that? Because what? How? I
Oh
mean,
my
and just
gosh.
explain, because that just shows how well you are
Oh,
equipped to actually explain your science. Not a lot of people can do that,
oh,
especially for a
thank you.
PhD. So
Thank
just
you.
take us
Thank you.
back to that day.
Yeah, that day was pretty wild. Honestly, I will say it was one of the most challenging things I have ever done. It's I think I always rank getting a PhD as the most challenging thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
Giving a TEDx Buffalo talk was the second one, and then this one was also very challenging because you couldn't it was, you had a timer in front of you, and
Oh,
it was counting down, and only you could see the timer. Actually, no, you could see the timer, and the audience could also see the timer,
oh,
which
okay.
increased the anxiety, right? Um, and I applied to do it because I was always wondering how I could explain my research to my nephew. He's
Uh,
currently 10, but I think he was about 7 or 6 at that time. And I think somebody had brought up the idea of an elevator pitch, and how
yeah.
scientists are really annoying because when you ask them to tell when you ask them to tell you what their work is, they go on and on and on and on. And I said, I don't want to be that kind of scientist. Oh no. So when the University of Buffalo brought up the fact that they were having the competition, I said, oh my gosh, why not? Let me try it.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to talk about all the aspects of your PhD in 3 minutes. I'm not going to
Mm,
lie about that. So I chose one figure in my paper
yeah.
that I knew I could talk about without having to go too crazy. And I practiced a lot, and not going to lie to you, there were so many drafts of it. I had my closest friends look at it and, give me feedback. But interestingly, the like about 3 hours before the event, I took a shower, and in the shower, I was practicing with my eyes
Mm,
closed, and I changed some of the words. I don't know what came up. I don't know why I did it, but I changed some of the words, and because for some reason I was in the shower, and I felt like I was in some zone. So whatever words I spoke there, that's what stuck in my head. And so I went to competition, and I said it. And I looked at my best friend at the time. Well, she's still my best friend, but she was in the audience, and she noticed that I had changed some words, and she frowned, which made me smile. But and somehow, I don't know, I somehow got the second place award, and I was very, I was very happy for that because I got like
wow,
$750
congratulations.
from it. So
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you, thank you. My best friend was happy. She demanded I feed her Korean food right there and then. So we went and spent some of the money.
That's fantastic. Oh
Yeah, thank
man,
you. Thank you, thank
I
you,
love
thank you.
that. So, just to like close it off, because we've had a really great chat,
Yeah.
um, I just want to ask you, like, what advice would you give to somebody who's an aspiring, I want to say African, but I also want to say woman,
Yeah.
and who wants to get into STEM,
Mm,
and other postgrads who are currently in the thick of it and it's really stressful, you
yeah.
know, like what sort of encouragement would you give them? And also in terms of the advice about people
Hmm.
specifically in your field,
Yeah.
or like you said, like venturing out into other fields.
Hmm. I want to say that with regards to your career prospects, I think that you should be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm,
And that's only with your career. And the reason why I say that is because if you only if you only say I want to be this and you can't get it, you start to feel frustrated. You should be open to as many opportunities as possible because you never know what you're good at unless you're put into that situation. You
yeah.
would be surprised what your hidden talents are that are not coming to play because you're not letting yourself experience new things. And for any woman or African who wants to go into STEM, I want to say that it's not easy, but a lot of us who have come before you have done the hard work. So
Oh man.
we've
Yeah.
gone through the ceiling for you. We've taken the cuts. Just go through and find your purpose. Do your best. Always do your best so that if anybody ever comes for you, you can stand firm in the fact that you did your best,
Mm,
and so that there can never be any doubt about the quality of your work. And for women in STEM, it's people will always pass comments, but you should realize that they're speaking from their insecurities. It's not you. It's because
mm,
you intimidate them. That's why they
yeah.
feel like they have to cut you down. But guess what? They don't pay your rent, they don't pay your bills, they don't feed you, they don't clothe you. So their opinion doesn't matter. Just keep being excellent, and the the way science works, your work will always speak for itself. And as I said, we've done the hard work,
Mm,
and we're here. We can fight with you. Some fights we can't fight with you, but we can stand by you and support you so you can do it. And always reach out to us. I mean, my Instagram DMs are open. My Twitter DMs are always open. If you need any advice, if you need us to look at an essay you're writing, look at an opportunity you might be interested in, just reach out to us and we will help you, because we also got help. And the only way that any of us can go forward is if we help each other. And if you're in the thick of things, sometimes the only way to do anything is to go through it. But also take care of your mental health, because if you do not have a healthy mental status, you can't create beautiful things when you're not feeling beautiful on the inside. So, just take care of your mental health, reach out to your mentors or whoever you want to be your mentor, and just do your best at all times. That's my 3 takeaways from this.
Oh, thank you so much, Danielle. This was awesome.
No,
you are awesome.
Thank you. You're awesome too. Thank you.
I love having your infectious personality. It translated so much. And like you said, you've said some very important things, especially about people who are currently going through their postgrad studies. I remember for me, somebody said this to me, because honors I thought was really a hard year for me. So somebody said to me, because you know how everybody was like, no, it's okay, don't worry, you're going to be okay. But somebody once said to me, it's going to end. And I think that kind of translates to what you're saying, that you kind of just have to go through it and then eventually it's going to end. So I think sometimes saying, no, you'll be fine or you're going to be okay, that doesn't... No. I think sometimes you just need to tell somebody that, don't worry, I know it feels like it's going to take forever, but it's going to end. Yeah. So sometimes you have to go through it. And I love what you said, that, you guys have done so many women have done it. Yeah. So many other Africans have done the hard work, have gotten into these spaces, which we originally would have never thought to be. I mean, look at you, girl. What? I'm sure, when you look back, you never thought you'd be here, but you are, and you're taking up all of these incredible spaces, and you are an inspiration to so many people, like you said, with your outreach.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming and talking with me. And
absolutely,
this was fun, and I wish you all the best.
With everything, all the best too. With everything, congrats on your masters again. It's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And with everybody who's listening, thank you so much for listening to the Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. Until next time, bye.